guys, welcome back to my channel, and it is time for tip number 2, how to get great SEO for your website, how to rank in Google, how to be on page 1. If you want to get tip 2, keep watching. Hi, so tip 2, I'm going to give it to you straight. It is page speed. So, one of the things in Google's algorithm that we know of that helps you to get a page 1 ranking is page speed. You may be wondering, what is page speed and how do I improve my page speed if it's bad? So, page speed is how long it takes for all of the assets, the HTML, the CSS, the images, the JavaScript on your page to load from start to finish. So that's page speed. It's how long the browser took to actually render the full picture of your page. When it comes to how to know whether your page speed is good or bad, there's actually a brilliant tool with Google for that, and it's a free tool again. I'm only really showcasing free tools as part of this series. And it's the PageSpeed Insights page. So we are going to switch to my computer now, and I'm just going to run through how you can use PageSpeed Insights to check your own website's page speed. And also I'm going to run through some of the techniques that I use to improve page speed on some websites that need it. Okay, so here we are. We're at the PageSpeed Insights tool. I will put the link to this in the description below as well. So you can see here, this is actually my husband's website, and I've put it through the PageSpeed Insights checker. So it's coming back there as a page speed of 94 for mobile, and if we go to desktop, it's showing 100 for desktop. Now, this is a really good page speed, but it's because we have implemented a lot of fixes on his website to make sure that the score is high. A lot of times your score might be in the orange. That isn't anything to worry about. That's quite a good score as well. The only time, obviously you really need to worry is where your score may be in the red here in the 0 to 49 area. And even if it was coming up in the low orange, it still shows that there may be improvements that can be made on the website. And you'll see in the next few minutes how easy some of these are to implement. And with these fixes, you can actually get your score higher all the time for both mobile and desktop. So if we go to his website here, I'm just going to show you some of the fixes that we've implemented here to get a really good page speed. So if you're scrolling down the page here, and you can see there are images that load. This is below the fold, it's called. So below the fold is wherever you had to scroll to get to this area here. So there's actually a native tag at the moment. And if we inspect here and go to the front flip card here, so you can see here there's the image that's being referenced there. And if you look at the end of that tag, it has loading equals lazy on that tag. That tag is so useful. This used to be a more tricky thing to implement before it was recognized natively by browsers. So browsers actually recognize lazy loading natively now, which means that as web designers and web developers, we only need to put in loading equals lazy onto that image tag. And this will mean that those images don't load unless somebody scrolls below the fold and they come into view. So it means that if somebody is kind of just clicking around your website, they're not unnecessarily downloading images that they don't need to download because they're not actually going to scroll to that area of the website. It's a great attribute. It's really good for page speed, but in terms of usability for mobile users where you would be conscious of the amount of data they might be using and stuff, a lot of the solutions that you're implementing for page speed are also helping mobile users that are not on Wi-Fi and that may have limited data plans. So you're trying to make it that they're not, inadvertently downloading loads of data just to view a web page on your site. Something else that is very useful on this website, so if we just go view source, and you can do this on your own website as well if you're a business owner rather than a web developer. If you view the source on your website, and you can see here there are CSS files and there's also JavaScript files there. And if you take a look for this .min, in the middle of the tag. So instead of being effects.js, it's effects.min.js. And you can see it there for the global one, you can see it there for the CSS, and if we go back up to the top for the main CSS file, so this is the main style sheet, it's default.min.css. So this means that your JavaScript and your CSS files have been minified, it's called. And this actually saves a lot of space. They are difficult to edit. The code will not be formatted correctly for editing in a file like this. So from the developer's point of view, you want to make sure in your workflow that you have a normal default.css that you're working on with code that you can read and has lines skipped and all that. And that then you're minifying that to upload to the server, but without having to try and, edit this particular file, because it will be very hard to edit. It kind of ends up squished into, 1 or 2 lines. So you want to make sure you have a default.css and then you're minifying that and referencing it in the website, but that when you're editing, you have a nice file that you can actually read. So something else I can see a lot with websites when it comes to WordPress websites a lot is that you can remove redundant code. So redundant code can be caused by, let's say, a plugin that was installed by default as a kind of a WordPress workflow, but it might actually not be a plugin that your specific website is making use of. But this plugin will still be loading JavaScript files into your website and you're not actually using them. So it's kind of unneeded weight on your website. So it is a good idea to just, whether you're a web developer yourself or you're the customer of one, is to just go through your plugins and see which ones you're using and which ones you're not. And the ones that you're not, they can be disabled. This is going to actually remove some JavaScript files from your site if they were injecting stuff in. And it's immediately going to speed up your website. And it's kind of just a good kind of practice, clean thing to do for the overall health of your website as well. And I'll be saying that a lot with these tips. A lot of these tips, when you put them all together, when you have all 5, it's that the overall health of your website is so much improved. Your accessibility for disabled people is so much improved, and your SEO is improved. Another super easy fix that you can implement to increase your page speed is to use the mod expires facility. So this will be something that will be available with your hosting. So you just want to check, do they have mod expires? And if they do, you can actually just put code into your htaccess file. And again, I'll link some of this below. I might actually create a blog article with proper instructions as well. So I'll link that later on below. But even if you just Google it for now, and I'll get some code there for you as well. It's called mod expires. And you want to say expires active on, and that basically, there's other code that goes underneath that, but in about maybe 8 to 10 lines of code, you'll be after enabling caching on your website, and the browser will now cache the website, and when it comes back to the website, it'll actually serve from the cache. So instead of having to render the website from scratch every single time, it can actually access the cached version of the website, and that's already been rendered. So immediately you've speeded up you've got better page speed out of that technique, and it's really easy to implement. So that's it for today. That was your second tip. It is page speed. You have a free checker that I will link below. Please put your website through it. Let me know how you got on. Were you in the orange? Were you in the red? If you were in the red, did you get good advice from the checker? Are they things that you think either you or your web developer could implement? And if you improved your page speed through any of the techniques in this, please let me know. I'd be delighted if you got that value out of this video. And if you did get value and you learned something, subscribe, give it a like, give it a subscribe, because I have 3 more really important tips. This isn't the end. You need all 5, so make sure you subscribe so that you get them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.